What is going on, nerds? Welcome back to the channel. We got a massive unboxing for you today from Tackle Warehouse. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we had to pick up for a tournament down south. And the reason we wanted to put together an order like this is because we live up north. We live in Michigan. So we really don't fish a lot of the different patterns, lures, etc. that you would down south, especially this time of year. So we are going into a complete unknown situation to fish a high stakes tournament. So we've done a lot of research. We've talked to a lot of folks that live down south, and we've taken the recommendations to heart. We picked them all up. So we got a heck ton of stuff to talk about today. We got to get right to it. Before we do, if you guys like content like this, consider subscribing, maybe smash a like on this video. We appreciate you for it. Let's get into it. Small box, or let's go big box first, yeah? I know you saw that. You're gonna have to be patient. Hang on. All right, so I got this big box. I think the only reason it is big is because of this right here. At first glance, nothing fancy, okay? Plano stowaway, simple 2-latch system here. But when you look a little bit deeper, here's what you get. We've got a specialty storage option for these things, umbrella rigs, A-rigs, whatever it is that you want to call them. So one of the key lures that is recommended to be fishing down south this time of year, this tournament is going to be taking place early November, is the A-rig. If we don't fish the A-rig, essentially, we are going to lose, is what I've been told. So we want to do as good as possible. Both Paul and I would love to catch a PB, and to have our best opportunity to do that, one of the things we're going to do is we're going to throw a bunch of A-rigs. It is a 5-hook state. If you guys don't know what I mean by that, look up your state regulations for fishing, and that means that you can have up to 5 hooks per lure when it's in the water and you're going after appropriate species. Don't worry, we're getting our licenses and doing all the right things as well. So just something to keep in mind. Now, the cool thing about this container in particular is, as you can see from this design right here, is I can take these rigged up A-rigs and I can put them in here, and I could probably fit somewhere between 6 and 8, especially since I've got a lot of like the mid to downsized versions here. If you have like your really big A-rigs, you might only be able to fit 1 in this row. But based on the size that I mostly have, I think I can fit about 8 in here. So this is pretty cool. So just a nice, simple storage option. Since I know I'm going to be throwing a lot of A-rigs, I wanted to have something specific to that, just so I can have quick and easy access to them. I can leave them all rigged up, so I can just swap them out on my A-rig setup and go have some fun and hopefully catch a PB. So there you go, nice simple solution for that problem. I mean, stowaways, they're cheap, they ain't free. It was $14.99, so not too big a deal. All right, so since we had this out, let's take a look at this next. So this is the Yum Flash Mob Junior, as you can see there. We're getting our A-rig. It's 5-wire, 5-hook setup. And the cool thing about this set right here is it gives you everything you need to just go to the water and throw this thing. I don't have to buy jig heads, I don't have to buy swim baits, I don't have to do any of that. So I've got my basic Yumbrella design here. This, by the way, is everything you need to run an A-rig for $19.99. Yum, once again, coming through with a really good economic value. Okay, so out of the box, we got all the jig heads just kind of like dangling there. They're not attached yet. All the jig heads are 1/8 of an ounce, and this is the Flash Mob Junior, so it's the downsized, little small, like shorter wire setup. It's a lighter jig head as well. You know, I didn't want to buy just like gigantic A-rigs that I would use once in Alabama and never again unless I get a chance to go fish like some of the bays or the big lakes around here in Michigan. I wanted something that I felt comfortable throwing all around here. So looking at this design, pretty awesome. We got like some heavy duty swivels set up here with our little blades coming off them. We got our center target. We're gonna do, this came with 5 white swim baits. We'll probably do a different color on this center one, something bright and flashy, and put the white ones on the outside there. But overall, like really well built, like feels like it's gonna hold up. And it'll be our first opportunity to test this out once I get this rigged. Here's the swim baits it came with. These are the Scottsboro swim baits. You get the option of picking your size of the swim bait as well as the color options. We just went ahead and with nice basic option that'll work just about everywhere, just this like flashy white. And with each of these jig heads having that screw lock option, those swim baits aren't going anywhere. So that's how it's gonna look once we get this all rigged up. And then let's test it out in our little setup here and see what this looks like. Oh, that's freaking rad, check it out. So you just lay the jig head in right there, and then the wires, they just get hung up in there. Look at that. So I can fully rig this thing and just leave it in here. That's my goal. That's really what I want to do. It comes with enough of these spacers for 4 Alabama rigs, so I can't really fit 8 in here, but that's okay. All right, next up we have another option for the A-rig. This is from Picasso. Picasso, if you guys don't know, makes some fantastic products, like just really well-made stuff. This in particular is one of their junior-sized A-rigs. So we got the schoolie rig in a junior size. The junior size schoolie, while not quite like an ultralight or a finesse, they do have those options. The junior is a 6.75 incher. You see here they have finesse and panfish options, which is pretty freaking rad. Man, overall length of those 5 inches where the wire length is 3.5. That's getting really close to the triple A rig that we've been trying to make for a long time and failed at doing. But we had one of our subscribers, B. Dooley, put together some pretty close samples of that. This is more of what that size would end up looking like. One day we'll figure it out. We'll nail this down. Something you want to be able to throw on your BFS rigs. Oh yeah, look at that. So we went for a sexy shad profile for the jig head. Very light setup already, so we got plenty of room for our jigs. And then we've got some decent swivels coming up off the back. All around, just really well made, man. I'm excited for this. It's even got like, look at that, little wider profile on the bottom of the jig head, which is cool. Hopefully allowing it to swim a little bit better. And different from the Yum setup, we actually have a swivel built into the jig heads. This is something I think Picasso does on like all of their A rigs, which is awesome. It's just gonna allow you to ensure this thing is swimming properly this way and not ever just getting janked up like that or something, you know, just causing you to potentially miss a bite. All right, we got our second A rig into the box, and yeah, it's looking pretty good. Okay, before I get to all the components that go into making these A rigs, I got one more I want to show you guys. So this one comes in a nice little tube setup here. This one's from Shane's Baits, and this is called the Mini Blades of Glory. So this is the smallest one that I'm gonna have. Really digging this setup, so check this out. They've got these spacers on here for your blades. We've got 4 willow blades coming off of this one. If you notice that Picasso had no blades. So I've got the Yum, slightly bigger profile, bigger blades. We're gonna put bigger swim baits on that. We got the Mini Blades of Glory here, a little bit smaller profile, except that you can see that the middle wire is quite a bit longer than the arm. So it's gonna keep that bigger profile or flashier profile chasing fish off the back here. And that's gonna look really good. And then look at this, the bullet head that they use. This makes it really interesting and unique. Instead of having that typical fish profile jig head up front, you've got just what looks like a giant bullet weight that is concealing all of the wires. You can kind of see from the back end there. Neat. All you gotta do is fold this thing out. Spacers will keep everything pushed apart pretty well. Yeah, man, I'm really liking this one. The only issue with that one, because it doesn't have that jig head, is it can't sit in this slot like the other two can. So, oh well, not a big deal. It's also still not moving in place. So that's good. Okay, so for the Picasso and the Shane's Baits Mini Blades of Glory, we're gonna need some jig heads and some swim baits to put on those, because unlike the Yum setup, which by the way was super cheap and came with everything, those two were a little bit more. So the Shane's Bait, oop, where are you? So the Mini Blades of Glory was 16 bucks, just the A-rig with the wires. And the Picasso Schoolie Junior was $15.99. So both 16 bucks, but they didn't come with all the components. So then you gotta spend money on all the components. A-rigs are like right up there with like glide baits and swim baits as a very expensive lure, like with many components to it, to be throwing in the water because it has all those different parts. So we picked up 3 different types of jig heads. Of course, you can use any like ball head jigs, swim bait jig heads, anything like that. Will work. I just wanted to get a couple different options that we could try out. So the first one I want to show you guys, both in 1/8 of an ounce, so much lighter. You can go down to like 1/16. You can go lower than that if you want. It all depends on the overall weight you want your A-rig to be. So picked up these. That's the first one I'll show you, the 4x4 little jig head. And these are ball head jigs with a screw lock on them. Now the other issue is you end up paying an arm and a leg for a lot of these. So the 4x4s were $4.29 a pack. That gets you 3. So if you're using a 3-wire, 1 pack, you're done. With a 5-wire A-rig, as long as they're not all dummy rigs, if we are putting the hooks on every single one of those, I mean, you gotta buy 2 packs to complete your 5 set. These are all 3/0 hooks with a screw lock on them. Look at that. I mean, that's a gosh dang well-made ball head jig. It's gonna be a great option at $5.99. This is the Inshore Slam from Owner. If you guys aren't familiar with Owner, they make fantastic hooks. We use them in a lot of different stuff, especially their bigger, heavy-duty stuff, the Owner Beast hooks for swim baits. Now, these are a little smaller package than what we're used to. So that is the Inshore Slam right there. You got a screw lock, as you can see, much stouter hook. My idea here is I want to throw this onto that Picasso rig, the one without the blades. I also picked these up in a 1/16 ounce. So Picasso rig was a slightly bigger rig, throwing the 1/16s on there. It's not going to be super heavy, but it is stout as heck, and we're gonna pin some fish with that thing. I think it's gonna be awesome. And then we got one of my favorite swim bait hooks that I've used for a long time. These are the Z-Man Finesse Eyes. We got these in 1/8 of an ounce, just went with the basic pearl color. These are also $5.99 per 3-pack, so they ain't cheap. The main difference you'll see from the other two rigs is that these are just unpainted lead, and this gives you that color, that pearl color, as well as some fish eyes on there. So something interesting, something different that we could try if the other stuff isn't working. So we can vary this up. This will be an optional side quest, I guess, that we could throw around. 3-aught hook on these, not as stout as the Owner hooks. Those are the most stout that I got, but something that we could swap out, say if we wanted to lighten up the Yum rig or something like that. So those will just be in the terminal kit. They're not going onto these setups right away, but eventually they'll make their way over to that. Unless I decide to throw those on the Mini Blades of Glory. We haven't decided yet. Stay tuned. We're gonna be dropping a video for our tournament setup as we pack, as we get our rigs, as we put together our day boxes. Paul and I will get together for that, and we'll show you guys our plans as we are preparing to head down to Alabama. And finally, to wrap up all the A-rig stuff, of course, you need to put some swim baits on there. So I picked up these 2 packs here. I think Paul also did the exact same brand. You might have done a couple different sizes, a couple different colors, but we're looking at the Goretex Easy Shiner. When you look up the ideal swim bait to throw on an A-rig this time of year down south, this is a staple. The Goretex Easy Shiner is a good profile. It doesn't have the ribbed body, so it doesn't like have as much water resistance. It's not pulling as much water, and it allows you to fish the A-rig in a more ideal depth, right? So your countdown, your retrieve speed, all of that, you have a little more control over it, I believe. I don't know. I'm not a professional at this stuff. This is just what we've been reading up on and watching from other people's videos. So 2 basic colors here. One, the more natural option right there that we have is the Arkansas Shiner. I know, we're going to Alabama. It's a different A-name state. Doesn't matter. It's just a classic like bait fish pattern. And so is this one. We got the sight flash. So what I could easily do on some of these rigs, throw up a couple of these and then have my main middle wire be this big, bright, flashy option with these more natural patterns being the surrounding schooling fish. So those Goretex Easy Shiners come in at $4.99. You get 7 to a pack. It's not terrible. So you get your 5 for your A-rig, and then you get 2 replacement tails if you need them. So there's my attempt at putting together some A-rigs. You guys let me know what you think in the comments below. If you are an A-rig expert, please send help. Next up, we got more cool stuff that we're gonna be fishing. A-rigs will not be the only thing that we'll be throwing while we're down there. We've got some other ideas too. Here's 2 of them right here. One of these will be Paul's, one of them will be mine, but we went for the heavier option for our spinnerbaits. We don't have a ton of these 3/4 ouncers, so these are the big boys. And we went with, you know, why wouldn't we? War Eagle. They make fantastic spinnerbaits, and I've always loved the War Eagle spinnerbaits, so I'm excited to go fish these. Normally, I'm throwing 3/8 to maybe a 1/2 ounce as far as these spinnerbaits go. So we're going outside that weight range this time. Oh no, that's Paul's for sure, because I dropped it. So here is the Sexy Shad. Just overall gorgeous. Gorgeous spinnerbaits, gigantic blades off the back of these things. They're gonna be kicking up tons of water and hopefully causing enough of a ruckus to draw in some giants. Here's another one. We got white chartreuse. I bet you can't imagine who picked that color. It was me. It's impossible for white and chartreuse to let you down. I swear it. But there we go. So same color blades on both of these. Trailer blade is gold, and then the big old lead blade there is in silver. Both nice, bright, flashy colors. I think they'll do us well. War Eagle, great option. And these spinnerbaits have been winning tournaments down there. So I'm pretty stoked to try it out. Hopefully it works as well for us as it has for other people. And those War Eagle spinnerbaits are only $7.99. It's an absolute no-brainer. They're fantastic. They work really well. You can replace the skirts on them if you have to, and that's pretty cheap. Just a great option. All right, then we got a little box, little baby tackle warehouse box. What could be in here that you guys can't guess? Before I unbox it, don't cheat. Put in the comments below. These are plastics. What are they? Ding, ding, ding. Answer is a whole bunch of poop baits. Gosh dang it. What are we doing? We have undue confidence in these dookie baits now. And I'm really excited mostly about one specific brand option that we have, the Yamamoto Shad. The Yamamoto is just a blast to throw around. You can re-rig it 1,000 times so I can catch. It'll get trashed. We do have now screw lock hooks that I've unboxed on the channel before that are from VMC that I'm gonna give a shot as well. So we'll see if those work better for us. We do plan on going down there to flip around and find out. And this is one of those baits that we plan on flipping around and finding out with. So what do we got? We've got 3 different Yamamoto bags, 3 different colors. I'm gonna split these up with Paul. I know he's on the opposing team. I shouldn't share any of these with him, but of course I will. I try to be a good friend wherever I can. Here is the main color we've been fishing, the Sexy Shad, which is awesome profile. Again, you got this awesome little tail section sticking off the back, giving you some added action. These are all the 3.5 inchers, by the way. I should mention too that as far as the poop baits go, the gravity baits, the heavy baits, this is probably one of the best, if not the best economic value in terms of it straight up gets bites. You get 8 to a pack. Each pack is $7.99. Which is surprising that Yamamoto has like one of the better budget options for poop baits, but they do. Okay, so this next color is heavy green gizzard shad. So we're gonna have a lot of shad down south in Alabama. Not something we're used to fishing pattern-wise up here that much. Usually it's bluegill patterns. So this is something a little bit different, more natural, and a little bit darker in profile than the Sexy Shad while maintaining a similar flash pattern. So I'm excited about that. And then finally, had to get a white poop bait, you know? Crusty old dog turd sitting in the park for months on end. But look at that. So we got the sight flash pattern there. Beautiful, flashy silver flake in there, a little more translucent bottom, opaque top. I think that's gonna bang as well. Gonna be a special item I'll show you in a second that we're gonna use to flip these things around. But we're not done flipping yet, and we're not done with poop baits yet, because we got the Missile Baits Bomba. This one came in late, because it was released later than the other ones when we did our poop video. We did sneak in some fishing time with it. I did get some catches on it. I have a darker color pattern called Super Bug, which is like a green pumpkin with some blue flake in there, and just overall darker profile. So I wanted a lighter option as well. This is also a pretty good budget option if you're looking to try out the poop baits. You get 6 to a pack, and they're only $5.69. So when it comes to poop baits, if you can get them for less than $1 a bait, you're winning. Look at that. So this color is Ghost Shad. Just overall lighter colorway option. So I have a dark color, the Super Bug I can use, and then I got the Ghost Shad. And again, I got 2 packs of these so I can split them up with my buddy, even though I am against him in this tournament. Friends. One other bait that Chad Hoover called out when he was on our live, if you guys haven't been on our lives, please join us Wednesdays, 8:15 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube. Love to see you there, love to talk to you in chat. He called out these right here. So this is the Yamamoto D Shad. This is a fluke style bait, but it is super salted. So it's like having a faster sinking fluke style bait. Rather than using your jerk baits with treble hooks, you can just throw one of these bad boys. Grabbed it in Sexy Shad. I thought it was a good flashy colorway that I could throw around. And it does have a different tail than you're used to, not a forked tail, right? Flat. It actually has kind of a little, like a plus sign type shape to it. Look at that. Pretty cool. So that should give it some unique action. And yeah, I'm excited to try this out. Could get wild, throw it on the A-rig, or I can just flip it around weightless up shallow, which is something I intend on doing. If The more fish I can catch just flipping up shallow in Alabama, the happier I'm gonna be. I tell you guys what. And these were a hell of a deal. They came in at $5.19. I don't know if they were on sale or they're just cheap. You get 7 to a pack, so rad. I should have got like 7 more packs. So that's it for the plastics. I got 3 more things to show you guys. Start with the boring piece here. We got some line, okay? It's heavy duty cover up there. This is not something that we deal with a lot down here. Usually the heaviest line I use is gonna be on my frogging setup, and it's 50, maybe 65 pounds, typically just 50 pounds. My swim bait setup has 50-pound braid on it, and everything else is pretty much 30 pounds or below. So we're gonna have to re-rig, re-spool some reels so that we can actually get away with fishing down there, not breaking off all the time. So I picked up some Suffix 832. This is the Goretex line. So the Gore Performance fibers, as you can see there, should give me some superior castability. We have used this line before. I am a big fan. I do like it. This is just the basic low vis green, but this is gonna be on my flipping setup. You'll see in a second. 65-pound test. And with that braid, for some reason, they had a deal going on where you just get a gosh dang Rapala crankbait for free. So we got the OG series. This is Ott's Garage, Ott the Foe. And this is an awesome flat side crankbait. Look at this. Shallow diving, something I'm gonna be throwing. Like I'm gonna throw this down there. Comes in, they don't really have the color on here. I think they taped over it. I can tell you that it's 5/16 ounce and it's 4-foot diver. I just want to know the color. Anyways, whatever. So if you know this color, call it out in the comments below. How about that? That's what we'll do. So we got some dark green up top, some chartreuse on the belly, a little orange, and we're going with that circuit board lip, flat side profile. This thing is awesome. So it's the tiny size, 4-foot diver, Ott's Garage, circuit board lip. I love it. I'm gonna catch my winning bass on this. Calling it right now. Okay, next up, I have a product from this company. You know them, Abu Garcia, making some heavy duty reels, some beasts, if you will. They have a beast reel too. These are high value reels. The new generation of these reels, I have not touched yet. I have not gotten a single model of them yet. And I can say that I've used the Revo SX in the past, previous generations of that reel, and I've loved it. I've absolutely loved it. It's been a fantastic reel. I gave one away recently on one of our lives. It was the one that I've had for a long time. So I wanted to get back into it and try the new editions of these. And what we picked up was this. We got the Revo SX, specifically the shallow spool. Look how shallow that freaking spool is. It's crazy. So these new shallow spool reels have been dropping this year. A lot of people have looked at them and they say like, oh, could I go BFS with that? Just because it's a shallow spool doesn't mean it's made for BFS. This specifically is definitely not. Mostly these are made for flipping and pitching. So I'm thinking, I'm up shallow in Alabama on Lake Gunnersville. I want to be flipping these poop baits a lot, and I want to have it on my heavy setup so I can jack some jaws. I need a better option for that. I've been using, for my heavier setups, the Okuma Komodo SS. Great reel, I just want some variety in the lineup. So I opted for checking this baby out. And actually, Paul picked up a Revo SX too. He opted for the non-shallow spool, so he got a slightly different one. In fact, let's just have him show you that and then I'll talk about mine. So here's Paul, not here right now, talking about his reel that he's unboxing. Roll the footage.
All right, you guys, just saw Jeff's reel. Looks heckin' sweet. Love that shallow spool. Really cool option. I went with the Revo SX as well. What I was looking for in a reel was something that had a really fast retrieve speed and something that had a really high amount of drag and had a lot of power to it. Why do I want the fast retrieve speed? When you flip, you pretty much pick one spot, you drop the bait there. If there's no fish there in a couple of seconds, a couple of twitches, and maybe a pause, you reel it back in, you pick another spot. So reeling it back in quickly is super important. So with the Revo SX, the exact model I got is the Revo SX RKT. Now RKT, that stands for rocket. And why would I call it rocket, you say? Well, because it has a 9-to-1 retrieve speed. So that 9-to-1 retrieve speed, significantly faster than the 8. You can see it's got the giant handles. This looks like a 110mm with these super oversized handles, very similar to Jeff's, right? It has some different styling. You can see the red accent on the side plate It's not like the all black, which I think Jeff's is all black or gunmetal. It does have the offset grips. So the whole reel is actually shifted this way to match your grip, how you're holding the reel, which I think is really cool. And it is very comfortable, I can tell you, especially if you got bigger hands, this is gonna fit over really nicely. It does have the click drag adjustment. Not sure if you can hear that, but I can definitely hear it. External mag brake, which we really like to see. It looks gosh dang gorgeous. And you can see I do not have that shallow spool, so you've got a lot more line options there. Now, is that critical for me? No. Would it be nice to have that for flipping and pitching? Yeah, probably. But again, that 9-to-1 retrieve speed was not available in the shallow spool, and that was something that was super important to me, so that's why I went with this model. This model is under $200. It's got the aluminum frame, 25-pound drag, a few different options as far as retrieve speeds, which I think is really great value. That's my model, basically the same as Jeff's without the shallow spool. So Jeff, enjoy doing the rest of this video, and you guys enjoy watching Jeff do the rest of this video.
All right, thanks a lot, Paul, for showing off yours. Mine's better. Let's talk about it. Here we go. So right out of the box, I noticed these oversized knobs, and they are awesome. Yeah, at least these are something that I like to have on my reels, especially on the heavier setups. You're frogging, you're flipping setups. I want those on there. My preference would have been to have a 100 to like a 110 millimeter handle. The good news is we could always change that out later if we want to. Big lever gang, let's go. Now, overall, the build of this thing, this like aluminum frame is very nice. If you want to spend up so the whole thing is aluminum, you can do that. That's the STX model. It's quite a bit more, about 60 bucks more than the base SX model. So I don't know if it's exactly worth it, but there you go. We got our little brake adjustment on the side there. Side plates on the Revos, they just pop straight off. They don't do that twist thing. They just have a little lever here, as you can see. Now, what's interesting, and I don't know anything about this, so I'm not going to talk about stuff I don't know, is these little components on the inside. Very interesting, but I will say, it also gives us this kind of like rattly sound, and this is something I talked to Debo's Fishing about when he was on our live. It does have a little bit of a rattle sound. I'm okay with it. There's our shallow spool, looking awesome, and as you can see on the specs there, this is designed for you to rig up just about 55 yards of line. That's it. Now we're fishing bass, so like I'm not worried about getting spooled on this thing. At least I hope I wouldn't. This does have 25 pounds of drag, so it's an absolute beast. And then also you'll notice the redesign, they give you like this slanted profile up front on the reel. I will say that it's nice. I don't put my hand up here, so I'm not noticing anything special there, but this part is also curved. So it is a pretty comfortable, low profile reel to have in hand. I am stoked about it. I'm gonna go ahead and throw that on my Okuma Psycho stick setup. This is my heavy stick, which is gonna be my flipping rig, man. And we'll spool it up with this suffix. So there you go, that's the flipping setup. We got the poop baits, we got the flukes, we got all the A-rigs that a Michigander could ever not need. As far as price goes, that Revo SX SS, the shallow spool, is 189 bucks. And for reference, the regular SX is 169. So you can save like 20 bucks if you don't want the shallow spool. So I think that's everything. That's everything we could possibly need before we go down south. We really spent a lot of money on stuff that we don't typically use, but that's really what this channel is all about. So if you guys like the unboxing, if you like some of the lures that we're talking about here, and if you want to see how we do in Alabama, stay tuned, be subscribed, and smash the like on this video. We really appreciate you guys for doing that, and we'll catch you on the next one.